It was a cold winter morning in 1962 when the Soviet logging team went silent. They were supposed to radio in every evening, but for 3 days, nothing came through. The government sent a search team into the Ural Mountains to find them. What they discovered changed everything. The first body was found pressed against a massive pine tree, like he had been thrown there by some incredible force. But when the medical team examined him, they couldn't believe what they saw. Every single bone in his body was completely shattered, his ribs, his arms, his legs, even the tiny bones in his fingers. It was like he had been crushed from the inside out. But here's what made no sense at all: there wasn't a single drop of blood anywhere. No claw marks on his clothes. No bite wounds. No signs that he had even tried to fight back. His skin was completely untouched, like someone had reached inside and crushed his skeleton while leaving everything else perfect. The search team found the survivor 2 miles away, hiding in a cave, shaking and unable to speak properly. When he finally calmed down enough to talk, all he could say was, "It stood there watching me. So tall. So still. It never blinked. Not once. Just stared with those black holes where eyes should be." The doctor said he was in shock, that his mind was playing tricks on him. But the man never changed his story. Even years later, until the day he died, he would wake up screaming about the thing that watched him with eyes like empty space. 20 years later, a group of hikers decided to explore the areas near Dyatlov Pass. They had heard the old stories, but they were experienced mountain climbers who didn't believe in ghost tales. They were wrong. On the second day of their trip, something started following them. At first, they thought it might be a regular bear, but bears make noise when they walk. This thing moved without sound. They would hear nothing behind them, then turn around and see massive footprints in the snow that hadn't been there minutes before. Deep prints, much larger than any bear they knew about. The prints were fresh, still sharp in the snow, but they never heard whatever made them. One of the hikers wrote in his journal, "Something is following us, but it makes no noise at all. We've been walking through branches and snow all day, and everything we step on cracks and crunches. But this thing moves like it's floating. It's not a regular bear. Bears don't act like this. And it never blinks once." On the third night, they decided to take turns staying awake to watch for it. The man on the first watch sat perfectly still, listening to every sound in the forest. Around midnight, he felt like he was being watched. He slowly turned his head and saw 2 black holes staring at him from behind a tree, maybe 30 feet away. He didn't move. He didn't breathe. He just stared back at those empty black eyes. For 2 hours, neither of them moved. The thing just watched him with that terrible, unblinking stare. When the sun started to come up, the eyes were gone. The next morning, they packed up and left the mountains. None of them ever went back. Even now, in 2025, if you visit the small villages around the Ural Mountains, you'll see something strange. Every few weeks, some of the older villagers pack small bags and walk deep into the forest. They're not hunting. They're not camping. They're delivering gifts. Old Anna Petrov has been making these trips for 30 years. She packs coins, small pieces of metal, and sometimes children's toys, little cars, dolls, anything colorful and small. She walks for hours into the darkest, coldest parts of the woods, places where the trees grow so thick that even in daytime it looks like night. "My grandmother taught me," she says. Her grandmother taught her. "We don't do this to feed them. We do this to keep them calm, to let them know we respect their space." She finds a clearing deep in the forest and arranges the gifts carefully in the snow. Then she backs away slowly, never turning around until she's far from the spot. She never looks back. A week later, when other villagers check the spot, the gifts are always gone. Not scattered by wind or animals, completely gone, like someone carefully picked them up and took them away. The village children are taught never to go into the deep forest alone. Their parents tell them stories about the dark-eyed beasts that watch from the shadows. Most kids think these are just scary stories to keep them safe. But the adults know better. They know that somewhere in those dark woods, things are watching and waiting. They know that the only thing standing between their warm homes and those terrible black eyes are small gifts left in the snow. Because once you see those eyes, you never forget them. They stay with you forever, even in your dreams.